All right, tell us who you are, where you're from, and how you ended up in the Israeli Defense Forces.
Okay, so I'm Gabriel Gershkovich, originally from Canada, Hamilton, Ontario, which is close to Toronto. I made Aliyah about 5 years ago now, 2018. I came here for the army. I ended up staying. Now my not. I came originally for the army, and I spent the full service. That's like 2 years, 8 months, and from 2020 till the end of 2023, 2022. Came to my note at the beginning of 2023.
The first question I gotta ask you, just to get the details out, is obviously you're a Hasidic Jew. We don't touch our beard. You got a beautiful, luscious red beard, gingy beard over here.
Thank you.
I'm assuming it doesn't really fit with the uniform. I'm assuming you got the camouflage uniform, the camouflage on your helmet. Did you ever feel more at danger, I guess, because of your beard? And was that like something that people spoke about?
So in this past, like in this tour in Gaza, no, not an issue. In general, if a soldier's camouflage is really an issue, you're gonna wear like a face mask or you're gonna paint your face and your beard. Like when I was in regular service in a recon team, and you're going to actually go and doing camouflage for an extended period of time, you're gonna paint everything.
And why was
Green
that not
beard,
an issue in
everything.
Gaza?
Because we weren't camouflaging ourselves. The point of us wearing green is just to identify each other, not to actually be camouflaged. Gaza's not green.
Why no camouflage?
I'm saying it's for specific types of operation that you need to camouflage.
Interesting.
Like you don't want to stand out, so you're not going to wear like bright orange, but like you're not too focused on camouflaging, not in that kind of operation.
So, all right, let's speak about Simchas Torah. Obviously, Simchas Torah, October 7th, was one of the happiest days of the Jewish year. The day where we celebrate the finishing and the starting over again of the Torah, of the Bible. What was your experience on this day?
So Simchas Torah, I wake up. First, I went to bed late the night before, right? I wake up 6 a.m. to sirens in Yerushalayim. And I'm like, nah, I'm not getting up. Like I'm like hungover. Like I'm like not getting up. Went back to sleep. Came to my nut, Shachris. Started going hard. I didn't know it was we didn't exactly know what was going on. We knew there was sirens. Oh, that's it. Bit by bit, there was like rumors. People were saying like, yeah, like the neighbors were saying this and that, and like soldiers, and there's something like terrorists came into Israel. We didn't have anything concrete. We're just like trying to focus on Simchas Torah.
And obviously, you don't use your phone on Simchas Torah.
No, I wasn't using my phone. At a certain point, I don't remember details. I just remember that it seemed very like we got whatever details that there actually is something real happening inside of Israel, and soldiers are being called back to base. At that point, I ran home to grab my phone to check, but I didn't have anything. There was no call. Okay, fine. The rest of Simchas Torah, I had my phone with me. And after Simchas Torah, then I got a call to say, hey, we need you to come in. We're getting ready to go to Gaza. Okay. But Simchas Torah itself was like relatively normal. We kept running to the shelter and the staircase to between we're davening, and all of a sudden, okay, now you gotta run shelter, and then we're waiting there, and then we continue davening there, and we go back. But besides that, was normal, relatively.
So you get the call, we're going to Gaza.
Yeah.
That was and then you went straight to Gaza?
No. So we get the call, we're going to Gaza, come to base now. Okay, everybody comes, they're all fired up. And so the next day comes, say, okay, we're not going today, tomorrow. Okay, fine. The next day comes, not today, tomorrow. A week passes, we don't go in. First of all, this is not just us, this is the whole army was being told yeah, we're going in right now, and the days kept passing by, nothing. And then a week later, then the army did go in, but we still didn't go in. We were held in reserve essentially. We were just training the whole time. And literally it was 2.5 months that we spent on that base, in the center of Israel, not close to Gaza, just training, waiting to to be called in to swap out whichever unit was in Gaza. And then Yitzhak Kislev, basically they said, okay, you've been 2.5 months on base, go home for a month, because we're not going to Gaza yet, because they haven't called us. Go home for a month, and if something happens, we'll call you. Great. And for me, this is perfect, because I got out Thursday before Yitzhak Kislev.
What's Yitzhak Kislev?
Yitzhak Kislev is the New Year, the Hasidic New Year, when the Alter Rebbe came out of jail, big celebration. Also, not just, it was also a chiddush for me in the army that it's not just Chasim celebrate, like everybody, like all the from guys were like, yeah, we got to get out for Yitzhak Kislev. I'm like, you guys know Yitzhak Kislev? I didn't know it was a thing. So everybody was very happy that we got out for Yitzhak Kislev. I'm here, Shabbos, for bringing, I get a call. No, like Shabbos day for bringing. It's like, we're going in. Okay, fine. So then we went back to base on the Shabbos, and like, okay, we're not going today, tomorrow. So, okay, fine. Tomorrow comes. We're not going today, probably tomorrow. But it didn't. This time it wasn't 2.5 months, but like basically it was like 4 days, 5 days. We were there. We came in on the first night of Hanukkah, I think it was. First night of Hanukkah, we actually went in. Yeah.
So before this, as you're on base for these 2.5 months, obviously being a Hasidic Jew is something that literally could basically take over your entire day, starting from when you wake up, putting on tefillin, praying 3 times a day. Was that something that was possible to do even as a soldier?
Listen, you can't have the full Hasidic lifestyle in a war zone. On base, it's another thing when it's like peacetime. But even there, you need to cut corners to be able to do what you need to do. But in war, Bichlal, I didn't miss a single day of tefillin, thank God. But I easily could have, meaning if I would have had to keep working the whole day, then I would have just missed it. But it worked out, I never needed to miss tefillin. I washed in the morning. Not always, there wasn't always water available to like that easy to wash. I definitely didn't have a negel beside my bed. I didn't have a bed. At the same time, I had to maintain a mindset like, this is Hashem's ratzon right now. Like, He wants me to not be sent, to not be going to mikvah. He wants me to be where I am right now. And in that sense, you're always connected to Hashem if you're able to maintain that. But
I guess another interesting thing is just the other day, I had a taxi driver over here in Jerusalem. His mother's Jewish, so he's Jewish, and he had a Muslim father. He was in the middle of keeping Purim and Ramadan, and he was in Gaza 2 months ago. He got shot 8 times in the stomach. That's why he's driving taxis now.
wow.
So I guess the melting pot, especially now because they called up all the reserves. You have, like, you're a Hasidic Jew from outside of Israel. You have, I guess, 60-year-old Tel Avivans serving in the same army, in the same unit. What was the relationship between you guys? Like, how did it get along? What was amongst the soldiers, what was the environment?
So everybody's very close. I mean, Bichlal, by us, we spent, we'll backtrack. Reserves this is my first time serving reserves. So I joined a unit, like a team of guys I mostly didn't know. There was a couple guys I knew from my regular service. Overall, it was a new group. And if I would have gone in with them right off the bat to Gaza, it would have been very different. But we went in after 2.5 months living together, like very close. So you have a bond. Even that 2.5 months, you're spending time with them the whole time. And there's no, like, the differences are not, sounds cheesy, but like, you don't see the differences. You just see the person, you just see your buddy. Like, that's all it is.
All right, let's think about going into Gaza. Obviously, you realize it's just walking into that is a dangerous situation. I guess is there always in the back of your head like a thought that this might be the last room you walk into, the last place you walk into? Like, what's your mindset going into that battlefront?
So me personally, I didn't have that. That was not my thought process. For sure, different people think and feel different ways. For me, it was just like what I'm doing right now. That's what I'm doing. Very much like in the moment. There's very specific times where there was fear. Right, and you're like clearing a house of like booby traps. It's like opening a door. It's like literally, I'm here to make sure this door isn't like booby trap. Like, okay, open it. Like, could blow up in my face. But besides very specific moments, you're just focused on what you need to do, and there isn't like the fear comes when you start to think, meaning think more than you need to. If you simply focus on what you're doing right now on the mission, then there isn't fear. Fear starts to come when you're like thinking about like the what if. And it's relatively easy to dispel that, especially with a good commander, that when he rallies the troops and he gets them to focus, then there's no fear.
So in your unit, Did you, I guess, personally have any moments where your life was in serious danger, and did you lose any friends?
When I personally, my life was in danger, I have to define that question because you're in a dangerous environment, right? So there's times when, there's mortars shooting at us and whatever it is, right? Like there's a time when I was in a certain spot looking for tunnels, and I moved over 50 meters to another spot, and 10 minutes later, there was mortars that hit right where I had been. Meaning they had aimed they were like, whatever, they're spotting, looking through, scouting out, then they aimed it. It took them a bit of time, and I moved before that happened. I didn't feel in that moment that my life was in danger. Like, okay, great, that just hit where I was, but like, it didn't feel dangerous in a sense. Like people might call it dangerous. So I'm not sure what you mean exactly. Like, did you mean that was there like somebody shooting at me, dafka, and like it like missed right beside me? Like, no, I didn't have anything like that. But overall, it's always there. Like, you're always in a dangerous environment, and that's just like the norm. I'll tell you that when coming out of Gaza, when you're like driving out from the gates, like through the border, there's a certain like, and it's very. You don't realize how wound up you are when you're inside. But as soon as you come out, it's like, I don't need to look like around every corner. That like, I don't need to like be constantly like on the lookout. And it's just like a feeling. You just realize, oh wow, it's like very like wound up. But when you're inside, I don't know. By me, I didn't think about it. But there was a few events that happened. I didn't lose really. There's things that happen, but they didn't often affect me so much. They affected other units. There was one event where specifically we lost one guy from our team when terrorists came out of a tunnel inside of our compound and shot him, and then they ran away back into the tunnel. But besides, like, that was the only like real action that happened to us. There's always things that are happening around you. You always hear on the radio like, oh, 5 guys got blown up here and this building collapsed over here and then like terrorists over there. But it's always like a step aside from you. Yeah.
Wow. So they in your compound, they jump in, shoot one of your guys.
Yeah.
What was that like, losing somebody in your unit?
Losing somebody in my unit. Listen, it was a big hit to the team. And it definitely like lowered morale. Emotionally, by me, it was very clear, like, okay, this is not the time to grieve or anything. This is the time, like, we're here right now in war. We have to like work. So when we come home, then we can grieve, then we can cry. That definitely was not the mindset of the majority of the people there. But it was difficult in the sense of people had trouble focusing on the mission. Meaning, as soon as you take a loss like that, it's like, okay, like now what? Like, what are we supposed to do now? The mission becomes something like much less important because like, what? Like, why do we need to do this stuff? Like, is it worth that kind of cost? And that's also where the job of a commander comes in, to rally the people, to make them reconnect to what they're actually doing. But that specific event actually was also interesting, the fact that it happened Friday morning. So we went into Shabbos and trying to maintain a Shabbos like mindset when you just lost one of your guys. So that was in a sense interesting, and actually surprisingly, a lot of the guys, even the not from guys, were into it. Meaning they sang with us, like they were just crying an hour before that, and now they're singing with us Kol Shabbos. So that was very special Shabbos.
I guess after you're right out of Gaza, what's your message, I guess, to the world? What are you thinking about? What's going on?
I'm thinking about. There's so bad. There's a story of I don't remember which chassid, I don't remember which rebbe, but that a soldier came back from a war, and whichever chassid or rebbe, I don't remember who said to him, but he said that he just came back from the small war to the big war. Maybe you know the source, I'm sure you've heard that idea. And that's what I'm trying to. I'm now in the big war. It's the real war in yeshiva. Fighting the battles of getting up on time and using your time wisely. And that's really like people feel that they're useless, right? They feel like, what am I doing here with like, even especially people overseas. I've spoken to a lot of people that like they want to know like what can we do to actually help Am Yisrael and to help the soldiers. And we have to understand that we're all part of this war. And it's the day-to-day things and doing those the best and trying to bring Kedusha into our lives and into the world around us. Like, that's really what the battle is about. And of course, it's not to say that it's not a real battle in Gaza. But I'm saying that now, I could say I've been being in both worlds. This is just as much a battle. It's just as much a battle. Whether it's harder or easier, I'd even say that they're equal. They're different, but they're equal. And so everybody should feel that they are mamish part of the battle that Am Yisrael is facing, and that you can take charge and you can rally the troops, like we're saying, and you can have a really, really big effect if you have that clear goal in mind.
And you're straight out of the battlefield. Obviously, a extremely rough time right now for the Jewish people. You have, I guess, what is your hope for the future? What's the going forward step for the Jewish people at this point?
The Jewish people. I can tell you that in general, if you went big, I'll go small for 1 second. In Gaza, we're doing good. We're basically done. Like, we should have full control. I don't know, time-wise, I don't know what it is. But I know that in general, we're doing very well by Gaza. And the vision, at least within what they told us within the army, is that, we're going to clear out everything and start to settle Jewish land, make it really part of Eretz Yisrael, like it should be. And so really, things are looking up. And it's just amazing to see like the achdus, the unity that came after Simchas Torah. Like, there's so many stories of Jews from all sorts of backgrounds and from and not from. Like, I think one of the things that really stuck out in my mind was like kitchens in Tel Aviv, like restaurants and kitchens that were not koshered their facilities in order to be able to make food for soldiers. It's absolutely incredible. You just hear all sorts of these stories and amazing things. And I think we're really turning a new page since Simchas Torah in like the story of the Jewish people. And it really feels like Mashiach is like right around the corner. It's just crazy. Like it's like in the air. And it's like even like with the nod from groups within Judaism, like everybody feels it. And within the army, like everybody's, I don't know if you've seen, but everybody has like a Mashiach patch. I don't know who started that, but that's just amazing. It's no longer like a crazy religious symbol. It's now what everybody's here for. And all the soldiers are for it, and that's where everybody's looking. So I think we're there. I think it's right around the corner.